Hi, and welcome to this Introduction to Matrix training for NTREIS members. Today we're going to be showing you just a little bit about Matrix, and where we're going to start is showing you how to log in. So let's go. Let's start at the NTREIS.net homepage and show you how to log in. I'm going to click the Systems Login button up here at the top. First, we've got to log in through the Clarity Security SSO page. I'll put in my login ID and then my password. If it's the first time you've ever logged in, you are going to have to complete the Safe MLS enrollment process first. The first thing you'll be asked to do is select your secret questions. You can either use the suggested questions that you already see here, color, mother's middle name, and birth city, or you can pick the questions from a list if you'd like as well and just select them using the drop-down. I'll use the suggested questions. And then we'll hit the next button. Then click on the NTREIS dashboard to get to the dashboard itself. As you can see, the dashboard has access to many different programs that are available to you through NTREIS. We'll be focusing on Matrix today. But before we go into Matrix, let's log out and show you what happens if you've forgotten your password. We'll click here to log back in. And now I'm going to click I forgot my password. First, let's put in my ID, and then hit the next button. Here's where those security questions come back into play. Then hit the next button again. Then you'll see a page that lets you know you've been sent an email with an emergency password. Then you'll be redirected to the Change Password screen. The email that you've been sent will look very much like this. Now let's go ahead and enter my MLS login ID and the temporary password that I was just provided. And then we'll hit the next button again. Next, you'll be prompted to create a new password. Then hit Set New Password. Now you can successfully click into the NTREIS dashboard. Now that we're back on the dashboard, let's click on the icon entitled Matrix to get into your Matrix system. On the NTREIS homepage, you're going to see a number of boxes entitled Widgets. Now these widgets can be moved around or placed wherever you'd like them to. For example, you see my hot sheet widget. I can click or drag this and move this wherever I want. There's also a widget entitled Additional. So if you ever do close out a widget by using the X on the upper right-hand corner of it, it ends up in that additional widget. You can always drag it out and bring it out anytime you like to display it back on your home page again. Let's go through a couple other widgets right now. First, we'll start with hot sheets. As a default, you'll have 6 different hot sheets available to you: residential, multifamily, lots and acreage, commercial, residential lease, and cross-property. You'll also have the ability to customize hot sheets and add ones that are additional to these. For example, I've got one set for residential Dallas Metro or 5 to 10 acre vacant lots. Additionally, the drop-down here on the right-hand side will let you view anything that's happened with these hot sheets either during this session, in the past 24 hours, the past 3 days, the past 7 days, or you can set your own custom range. Right now, I'll just click on the residential hot sheet. Now I've got a list of properties that have changed since this session. Let's go back to the home page again. You can also customize hot sheets anytime you like. Just click on the Customize button. First, choose which hot sheet you'd like to build your custom hot sheet from. In this case, I'll choose Residential, and then hit Add. Next, you'll have to name your hot sheet. I'll call this Residential Dallas, and then hit Save. See, it's added my hot sheet in the pick list at the left. Now, while highlighting that new hot sheet, hit Edit Criteria. In this case, I'll look up for Dallas and the city, hit Save, and then hit Done. Now I've got a brand new hot sheet, and when I click on it, it will only find me properties that have changed since this session in the Dallas area. Back to my home page. Next is my favorite searches. As you can see here, I have a number of different searches, each of which I performed at some point in the past and asked to save on the homepage widget. Hitting Update All will update each and every search that you see in this list and provide me with any properties that match these searches since the last time I ran them. You can also click on Manage and manage each search individually. This takes me to my Saved Searches section, and it opens up the search that I've saved in question, 2-bed, 2-bath townhomes for John under $200,000. I can either click on Settings to change the settings for this particular search. I can edit the criteria for this search. I can look at the results for this search, which would be the same as just clicking on the search from the homepage. I can click on Date Since, which will work the same way as Update does from the homepage. In this case, there have been no updated listings since the last time I ran this search. You can also click on Market Update. This will allow you to update this search with a custom date range. And you can also delete this search from here as well. Next, let's go over the Market Watch widget. This is very much like the hot sheets, but you've got some different customization options, and you've also got the visual representation of the graphs. Right now, I'm looking at new listings, back on market, price decrease, price increase, and so on for only residential properties in the past 24 hours. If you'd like to change this to a different property class, such as multifamily, lots and acreage, or commercial, and if you'd like to look at it over a different period of time, whether it just be today, 3 days, or 7 days, you can do that as well. Simply click on the new listing, back on market, or any other header, and you'll go to all the properties that match that criteria. Back to the home page. Next is My Carts. My Carts are a repository where if you come across properties that you happen to want to save for a client, but you don't want to work with them at the time, you can put those properties in a cart for that particular client if you'd like to. Notice I've got a number of different properties stored for some of my different clients here. By clicking on them, you can access them, find out how recently you've emailed them to that particular client, or do any number of things down here at the bottom on the button bar. And let's go back to the home page one more time. My Stats is where if you've created any stats and asked to have them saved on the home page in this widget, this is where they'll show up. And if you have any listings, whether they be active, incoming, or anything else, they'll show here in your My Listings section. The next widget is the Concierge widget. If you've set up any saved searches, which we'll show you how to do in a moment, you can actually ask that you approve them before they get sent out to your clients automatically. In this case, I have 9 properties waiting for me for Jane and 8 properties waiting for me for John to be accepted. If I click on John, I can click on whichever ones I want and either approve or reject the selected listings. The yellow text in the upper left will let me know the function that I've performed. Back to the home page. The next widget is the Search widget, where you can perform a basic search based on address information. The Recent Portal Visitors will let you know which one of your clients has visited your portal recently, and when, and what properties they may have favorited. Click on those and you can see which ones have been saved as a possibility, which ones have been saved as a favorite as well. Back to the home page. Recently used contacts just show you which clients you've recently interacted with using Matrix in the past. And external links are going to give you links to important places that the MLS would like you to know about as well. Next, let's move on to searching. Hover over the Search tab and you'll see the various different searches that are available to you. Residential, multifamily, lots and acreage, commercial, and so on and so forth. Let's select a residential quick search. Each search will contain specific fields that are relevant to the type of search you're performing. In this case, a residential search will have things like bedrooms and bathrooms. A lot and acreage search wouldn't necessarily have these values. You can always add any additional fields that you want to for search by scrolling down to the bottom and hitting the Add button. Here you can decide which fields to add to your search. Just click one or hold the Control key to add more. Click the Add button, then hit the Back button, and those additional fields will always show up below the gray line here. Let's talk about some of the search boxes that are available to you. First, we'll look at the status. you can enter either a date or a range here. Select a date simply by clicking the calendar icon. Or you can also enter something like this, 0 to 60, and that'll find you all the properties that have been active in the past 60 days. Enter your subdivision here. As you can see, we've got a pop-up which will let you know exactly what you need to type into any given search box. So if there's ever any confusion, simply mouse over the box and follow the instructions therein. Next, we've got subproperty type. In this case, I'll select residential, single family. If you'd like your search to only be performed within a specific shape, click on the Map Search button up here at the top. This brings you to the Map tab, where you can draw a shape on the map and only find properties within that shape. I'll use the tabs up here at the upper right to go back to my criteria, and I won't draw a shape for now. Additionally, you can find any properties within a specific radius of a specific location. Simply use the drop-down and then the My Location entry box. You can enter specific address information, county, city, zip code, area, or sub-area information as well. We'll include lookup tables for a number of these too. Next, we'll enter price. In this case, I'll just put in $200 to $300, meaning I'm only looking for properties that are between $200,000 and $300,000. Next, we'll enter information into the bedrooms and bathrooms fields. A note about formatting here. Putting in 2 in bedrooms will only find properties with exactly 2 bedrooms. Putting in 2-3 will find you only properties between 2 and 3 bedrooms. Putting in 2- will only find you properties with less than 2 bedrooms. And putting in the plus sign will find you only properties with more than 2 bedrooms. We'll put in 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. In this case, I've found 3 matches. Let's take a look at those results. Your results will default to display in an agent single line, as you can see using the drop-down up here at the top of the grid. You also have a number of different views available to you as well. Agent full. This gives you every piece of information you need to know about the listing. Agent single line. Hot sheets. One view of particular interest will be the 360-degree property view. This view will give you information about the listing, tax information on the property, photos for the property. The History tab will give you the listing history from the MLS, the sales history from public records, and the mortgage history. The Parcel Map tab includes satellite imagery, map imagery, with estimated lot dimensions, and down here at the bottom, a map that will allow you to walk the block and click on any parcel you like to find out more information about it. Properties that have never been listed will only have a tax tab, whereas properties that have been listed will both have a tax tab and a listing tab available to you as well. The Flood Map tab is next. This will show you if the property happens to be in a flood zone. And additionally, there's a Foreclosure tab. However, if this property has never been in foreclosure, you'll see that this tab is grayed out and not accessible. Let's go back to our single line view and show you how you can change things on the grid. As you can see, there are a number of columns available to you. They can also be moved, widened, added, or removed. With the 4 arrows pointing in 4 different directions, you can click and drag, or with the 2 arrows pointing left and right, you can click and drag to make it wider or narrower. Also, when you get the 4 arrows, you can click on the header. You can change the pixel width manually if you'd like to, set it to auto-fit, align the text, or insert columns, and then enter information into the search box. Highlight your selection, hit apply, widen that column, and then you can see an additional column has been added for me. If I'd like to save a copy of this view, simply come up to the top of the grid, click on the Manage Display icon, label this view appropriately, and then save as a copy. Now via the drop-down, you can see I've got my own custom view that I can access anytime I like. Clicking the gear icon will let you set your current display, sort order, and count per page as your My Search starting default, or you can always reset to the system search defaults from here as well. Next, let's select some properties and show you how the button bar at the bottom of your search results work. I'll check the master checkbox up here at the top, and we'll start with actions. Criteria will just take you back to the search criteria page that we used to get to these results. If you've got properties that you want to email, just click the email button. Enter a client, a subject line, and something in the email body. Click preview if you'd like to see what the email looks like before you've sent it, or feel free to just send right away. Now you can see I've sent this email to my client. Let's take a look at the print button next. This allows you to print any of the views that were available to you as defaults, even the custom view that I've also created for myself just recently. You can decide to print without a header and a footer, with a header and a header only, or just a footer as well. You can also decide to include the print search criteria, or use the ink saver, which means if there are any images, they won't print. You can then print a PDF, preview that print, or simply print to your printer as well. Let's go back to my results. You can create a CMA from these properties if you'd like to. You can also create directions for these properties as well. Let's click on that one. The system will default to the most logical directions between the three properties, but if you'd like to switch them, you can always click and drag and move them anywhere you like. Then generate those directions. These can be emailed or printed. You can also add a custom start or custom stop. And here are those turn-by-turn directions from point A to point B to point C. Back to my results again. You can also create stats using these three properties. You can even export them. And here are the different export file formats that are available to you. Note that we've also included the custom view that I made just a few moments ago. Back to results again. Next, let's move over to refine. The first thing I can do here is view these properties as one of my contacts. Let's view them as John. Notice we've added an extra column of data that says emailed, letting me know that I've just emailed these properties to that client. If I view them as Jane, it shows that I've never emailed them to her. Let's clear that out. You can also narrow your results to only properties that you have checked. Now we're only showing 2 out of the 3 properties. Just hit the back button to bring those back. And you can also discard any properties you have checked as well. If you realize that you'd like to bring them back, just hit the undiscard button. Lastly, the sort button allows you to sort by multiple columns. Let's click on that one. You can see I'm first sorting by status, then MLS area, then current price, then MLS number. I can add any other available fields I want to sort by as well. Let's cancel out of there. And I also want to point out that you can sort by one column simply by clicking on that column header, either by ascending or descending, in this case by square footage. Next, let's move to save. New Saved Search will allow me to save this particular search. First, I'll give it a name. Optionally, I can also associate it with a contact. In this case, I'll choose John. If you'd like this saved search to show up as a favorite on your Home tab, what we showed you in the widget before, simply check this box and then hit Save. If you'd like to turn this search into a new auto email, simply click on the New Auto Email button. This one you'll have to associate with a contact. Put in a subject, and then either use the default information that we've included in your message, or feel free to edit it yourself as well. Here I've included my signature. We can see the criteria I've used for this saved search, and then we move down into the settings. If you'd like to approve each individual listing as it hits the system, simply click on the Enable Concierge mode. Then Matrix will alert you on the home page automatically as new matches are found, or you can also be sent the alert notifications by email. Unclicking Concierge allows the Schedule section to show up, where you can decide to send these listings immediately, as soon as possible, or you can schedule them either daily or monthly. I'll choose ASAP and hit Save. Now I've created a new auto email, which will send properties to this client whenever it matches the criteria I used to perform this search. Next, let's move into My Matrix. This is where a host of information is stored about you and your clients. We'll start by clicking on Summary. Here's where you can access your settings, which we'll talk about more in a moment, any information about your listings, but right now we'll start with contacts. You can see I have 3. And here's the list: Jane Homebuyer, John Homebuyer, and I'm a seller. Just at a glance, you can see their email information, how many active auto emails they have, any saved searches you may have saved for these clients, the last time you had any activity with these clients in Matrix, the last time a client has visited the portal, how many properties you have stored in a cart for each of these clients, any notes you may have written to these clients, and any properties they may have favorited, saved as possibilities, or discarded. Let's take a closer look at John Homebuyer. I'll click on the arrow next to his name to expand him. First, we'll take a look at details. Here's the basic information that we have about this particular client. Next, we'll open up Portal Activity. Here you can see any actions that this client has taken once they've been in the portal, and on which date that occurred. Click on the action itself, and it'll show you specifically for which property that client performed that action. Here, let's hit the back button. We'll minimize portal activity and open up auto emails. Here are all the auto emails, just like the one I just created, that have been sending out to John on a regular basis. A green circle means this auto email is not active yet. The client must first click on the email's link in order to activate it. If I open this up, I can even resend that welcome email if I want to make sure that my client has received it. Let's take a look at some of the other buttons available to you here. You can affect the settings for this auto email. You can adjust the criteria for this auto email. You can also take a look at the results, and then date since and market update are exactly the same as one of the saved searches I showed you earlier in terms of running those searches since the last time you ran them or using a custom date range as well. You can also delete this auto email if you have no more use for it, or you can open this up in the portal as well. Now you can see exactly what your clients see when they open up this email and the view that they'll see in your portal. Back into Matrix. We'll minimize this one and minimize auto emails. You can also see that I can view saved searches here as well, and the various buttons I have available to me here. Any CMAs that I happen to have run for this particular client. And any emails I've sent directly to this client, when they were sent, and what was contained in them. Let's minimize all that again. And let's go back up to my matrix. As you can see, many of the things that we've just accessed through summary, such as contacts, saved searches, auto emails, sent emails, and CMAs, are things that I can also access directly from the dropdown. Let's click in My Information next. We'll start with the Information tab, where all your basic information should be inserted, whether it be your first name, your email address, your last name, a tagline, any additional information, or any phone number or address information you'd like to enter. Much of this information will be included in the portal that we just saw a moment ago, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner here. Also, note the header. Let's go back into Matrix and click on Header and Footer. You can see here's the banner that I've chosen. If you'd like to select a different one, Simply click on the Select a Different Banner Image or Theme. And you've got a host of choices. We'll hit the back button. You have the choice of using a photo or not, and if you'd like to change the photo, just click the Change Photo button, at which point you can change or crop any photo that you'd like. And then feel free to change your branding as you see fit. Once I'm done, I'll hit Save. Next, we'll move over to the CMA cover sheet. These are the fields that are used on your CMA cover sheet. So for each field, you can either use the value defined on the Information tab, or you can override it with a value which is specific to the CMA cover sheet. You can also change your photo here too. Email signature is next, where we've got some various formatting options for you up here at the top, where you can either change photos, add hyperlinks, or basic text formatting changes as well. Next, let's look at your portal profile. Here's where you can decide to add a photo, change your portal greeting, display an inventory slideshow and links in your portal, display a video, or add in your contact information. Next, we'll click on Settings. Here's where you can see you can also access the My Information section we were just on. Any information about hot sheets, custom displays, custom exports, or even any portal notification settings that you may have. Under Portal Activity Notification Settings, you can use this page to control how and when you'd like to be notified of any activity performed by any of your contacts, whether by email, text, or a daily summary email. If you'd like to be notified by text, ensure you put your mobile phone number and cellular provider in the boxes below. Next, we'll show you how to input a listing. Let's click on the Input tab at the top. I'll select Add a New Listing, Residential, and then we'll fill from Relist Tax. This way we'll be able to autofill this listing with information from our Relist Tax and Public Records database. You'll need to select the county, in this case Collin, and then insert either a tax ID or street address information. Then hit Search. It's found the property that I want to fill my listing from, on 2502 Rockbrook Drive. I'll hit Fill. And as you can see, various pieces of data from the Relist Tax database have been auto-populated into these fields. Next, we have to work our way through all the tabs on the top, ensuring that we fill out anything that's in yellow on each and every one of these pages, including things like property type, or listing type, or transaction type. Make sure to check anything in each one of the checkboxes or drop-downs or free-form fields before you submit a listing as active. We can work our way through rooms. Here you can put in the number of rooms, and then via the drop-down, put in information about those rooms, the length, the width, what level they're on, and the features that are contained. If you'd like to add more information about specific rooms, simply click the More button, and you can add as many rooms as you'd like. Next, we'll move to Features. Make sure to check the important features here. Lot Utility Environment is next. Then Financial Information, Showing Information, Remarks, and lastly, your status. When you're creating a new listing, you can submit it as active or incoming. If I save this one as active, and you've seen I've skipped a number of input fields that were mandatory, it's going to tell me where I've made errors so I can go back and fix them. Anywhere you see a red exclamation point, those are things you need to fix or add. Additionally, let's go back to status, and instead let's save it as incoming. An incoming listing will get an MLS number, but will not be available for everybody to see yet until you set it to active. That way you can add photos, supplements, or anything else you need to once you're ready. we'll submit this as an incoming listing. Lastly, let's show you how to add some photos. I'll click on the Add Edit Photos button, and then let's browse for some photos I have stored on my laptop. You can add them one at a time, or hold down the Control key and add as many as you'd like at one time. Click and drag them in whatever order that you'd like. And you can even click on a photo and enter a description for it if you'd like to as well. Once you're done, just hit save. And then let's save those photos. And if I ever want to continue editing this listing, just click on Continue Editing and revisit any of the tabs where you still need to put information in. Lastly, let me show you the Help section. From here, you can view all of the available help topics and can refer to our frequently asked questions. You can open up a user manual, take a look at any of our Matrix video tutorials, take a look at general system requirements, any questions about support, searches, My Matrix contacts, adding or editing listings, it's all right here for you. Easy to read instructions and videos are available for each section. Thanks again for watching this Intro to Matrix for NTREIS.